Hello and warm welcome to the Q&A session and information session for the MSc program Collecting and Provenance in an International Context. My name is Minna Thorma and I'm one of the conveners. I am joined today with my co-convener, Krista Root, and also one of our current students, Juliet Murphy, who is also the student rep in the program. So we'll start by explaining a little bit about the course structure and content, talk about maybe something about the assessment, and then the various work placements. Also, the postgraduate community at the University of Glasgow, employability, internship possibilities, and life in Glasgow. That's the sort of main topics. So our program in Collecting and Provenance in an International Context has 3 or 4 courses. This difference depends on whether you choose to choose a what we call the regular research dissertation or an exhibition catalog dissertation. The really obligatory core courses for everybody are called Object Biography and Provenance and Restitution in semester 1. Then there is Cultures of Collecting in semester 2. In addition, if you choose to do exhibition catalog dissertation, you are expected to take a course called Collecting and Display in semester 2. In addition to these courses, actually, let's talk about, let's not go to the optional ones yet. Let's talk about the core courses a little bit. I have been so far teaching the object biography and collecting and display. However, I am leaving Glasgow University at the end of this academic year. That means in September, before you are coming to start the new academic year. And we are currently in a process to recruit a replacement for me. However, we don't know who that person is yet, so I can't really talk about what kind of content those courses will be, except in a very general way. Object biography course is about learning to talk about objects and their kind of life histories or itineraries. From where they are made till where they are today. And this course usually has included object handling sessions in the Hunterian Museum storage. Collecting and display course has been focusing on all sorts of display strategies, collections, histories, and I have utilized quite a lot of the museums which are available in Glasgow particularly, but also beyond. Glasgow has the famous Burrell collection. We have our own university museum, the Hunterian Museum and Art Gallery, and we collaborate with them closely. And I have also been taking students to the National Museums of Scotland to discussions with the curators in Edinburgh. Now, Cultures of Collecting is taught one of our colleagues, Alan Madden, who is not here with us today, but that is a course which kind of introduces you to more broadly to collecting practices and history of collecting, sort of a background material for the program. Krista is responsible for the Provenance and Restitution course, and you might want to say something about your input for your content of the course?
Yes, the Provenance and Restitution course teaches students to pursue accuracy and completeness in the provenance record of collection items. So it imparts many methodologies, many skills to check for this completeness and accuracy. And overall, it gives a much more nuanced understanding of art history because we take full account of collection ethics associated with the transnational movement of cultural objects and cultural heritage. So it's a grand course that looks at all of the problems to do with gaps in provenance and how we can go about to understand the full historical, ethical, and legal meaning of those gaps and implications. Thank you.
And I think that's this is something that kind of distinguishes our program from a lot of programs, because we have this combination of art history, this kind of hands-on approach with a very rigorous take in the law and issues surrounding provenance and restitution. So these make a really interesting and awarding combination from the student's perspective. So for the optional courses, we offer, for example, work placements in semester 2. Those are usually advertised at the beginning of November, and we sort of announce a list of work placements. Some of them are in person, some of them are online, and students apply as if they were applying for a job. So you would have to provide a CV and a cover letter for your choices of placements which you are applying for. We've had placements at the university, for example, in the special collections or the Hunterian collections, but also out with that. Krista, we have, much better those than I do, actually.
Yes, I used to be involved with the recruitment of these placements. So we used to have placements, for instance, at the David Livingstone Birthplace Centre in Glasgow. We had also Smithsonian placements in the Folklife Museum, as well as the Museum of the American Indian in the past. And we've also had placements in auction houses such as Matthias Auction House in Glasgow. But every year, as Mana says, we prepare anew, and we may be approaching new hosts for this coming academic year as well.
Juliet, you did a work placement. So what were you doing this year?
Yeah, currently this semester I've been working at the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage, which has been really exciting. It's an online placement, so obviously they're located in DC, so it's been through Zoom. But it's been very cool. I've been able to, my goal is to write an article, get a publishable article by the end of the semester. And I've been working on writing about Scottish repatriation, and I've basically been getting to write about everything that interests me and put it into like this creative nonfiction form. So it's been really fun. It's been very exciting. And I've gotten to meet quite a few people through it as well. So.
And you feel that you acquired skills that you will need in the future?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I think it's very different, and it's challenging me in ways that I didn't expect, especially with having to write in a non-academic form, which I think is really useful to be able to practice writing in other kind of ways other than just strictly academic. So I feel like I've definitely been able to kind of work on my writing, my researching skills, and also just making connections with people at the Smithsonian, which has been very awesome.
That sounds great. Then there is an option that's called independent study. For that, you can choose a topic that you want to research on your own. You need to find a supervisor for the project. in the university within history of art or elsewhere. So if you are thinking of independent study, it would be good to consult Krista, for example, to get more advice on how to go about finding a supervisor. So, and then in addition to that, there are various history of art courses that are available in technical art history, in general art history, MLitt. Those we don't know those yet at this time of the year, and everything is not sort of firmly confirmed yet. So those will be announced when the enrollment starts. I think it's starts sort of in the beginning of September. And then there you can also choose one optional course beyond history of art courses. So from the School of Culture and Creative Arts, or elsewhere beyond school within the College of Arts and Humanities. But these are subject to availability. Often courses have limits on how many students will be accepted. So that means that if you're looking for courses that are beyond history of art, you need to be proactive and contact the tutors of the courses and the administrators of the subjects or departments. But those are also available uh, towards the end of August or by the beginning of September. So about assessment on these courses, a quite common way of assessment on courses is an oral presentation and an essay, which both are assessed. Usually oral presentation 30% and essay 70% of the grade. These take various forms. Like on my object biography course, I've had the students to do an acquisition proposal. What kind of oral presentation have you had, Krista?
Repeat, please, Mana.
Yeah, what kind of oral presentations have you had on your course? I think you have had a group presentations.
Yes, my students can choose to do small group presentations or individual presentations, and it's a wide variety of angles that they can select, from the sacred and how the common definition across anthropology and social sciences can help repatriation, through to various time periods specific to the evaluation of Nazi spoliated art, provenance research in certain countries like France, and many, many other topics that students have a natural inclination to study. I wonder at what stage do we engage with some of the live questions? There is a question about international students maybe being interested in an online offering instead of in-person campus offerings, and we can confirm. Mana can confirm for you that as from the next academic year, we will have a dual tract of online program that runs together with the management of art and cultural heritage in an international context, which is an Erasmus Mundus program, alongside with our MSc, which for students in Glasgow will be in person. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, so for the MSc Collecting and Provenance in an international context, you do have to be in Glasgow. You can't do the courses online. So there, yeah, everything is taught in person, and since there are museum visits and so forth, those are in person from Glasgow. Then essays, they vary you might be given essay questions or a brief to give you parameters to write your essay. So that varies from course to course. Then, of course, you have your final dissertation. And like I said in the beginning, we have actually two options, we offer two different kinds of dissertations: the kind of normal or regular research dissertation, and then the exhibition catalog dissertation, which is an imaginary exhibition, but still made with guidelines that would be realizable in practice. Examples of dissertation topics. This year, one of the students is doing an exhibition catalog dissertation on tapestries related to Mary, the Queen of Scots. Juliet, what were you doing for your dissertation?
Yeah, my dissertation, I'm working under Krista right now, and I'm looking into theories surrounding defining the word sacred and how that can be applied in like an ethical and a legal way in repatriation cases.
What else are you supervising, or do you remember, Krista, anything from the past?
Yes, I'm also supervising a dissertation on the provenance of avant-garde artwork in the collections of Ukrainian museums this year. And there's one on the contribution of France to Nazi-era provenance research since 2017. And then in the past, there was an interesting dissertation on collecting antiquities and the theory of edgework. So edgework is when you're really pushing the legal and ethical limits because it gives you a certain satisfaction or a rush. So you keep trafficking in illicit antiquities because it's exciting. So that's the theory that she used to make a comprehensive argument tying in with reasons of certain types of collecting habits.
Yeah, so the main point about the dissertation topic, when you're thinking about it, it does have to conform to the program content. So it has to be in some ways related to collecting and provenance research. So that is important to keep in mind when you're thinking about it. Now, moving on to sort of talk about the postgraduate community. In History of Art, we have research seminars, usually visitors from other institutions around the UK, sometimes from abroad, or also often members of our own staff give papers on their latest research. So that brings students on all levels together to discussions. Juliet is our current class rep. What are your duties? What is your job description?
Yeah, currently, I guess just encompassing the whole program year, I've been relaying information back and forth from my fellow peers to people obviously like Minna who can kind of take the feedback and evaluate it and make changes. And so I've been attending the meetings we've had to offer the feedback that I've received, and also just throughout the semester trying to communicate with my peers and just make sure there's nothing large or impending that needs to be fixed or talked about.
There is a question to Juliet, but the question is, I think, incomplete. I can't see the whole question. We'll come back to that in a moment. Yes, and then it is quite a lot. It depends on your proactivity that you look around. There's lots of email. Okay, yeah, Martin, I'll come to your question in a moment. I'll sort of finish a couple of points first, if you don't mind waiting. So a lot of emails will come to you about events in the school, in the university, and beyond that. So it's really a kind of question how much you can take and how much time you have for doing things. There are a lot of opportunities. Then, if we sort of say a few words about employability and skills development. Um, First of all, we have internships beyond the work placement. The work placement is something that's part of the program, and you get credits for it. So it's a course, basically. But then there are internship opportunities which usually take place outside the teaching periods. We have, for example, internships at the Hong Kong University Museum, Hong Kong University Art Museum, sorry. And then we have some in the United States. Krista, you know better of those.
At the Museum of Art in Houston, Texas, and also in the Smithsonian Museum of the American Indian. There's a festival event being organized by the intern over the summer.
So a few of that kind. Then our students, they do end up in quite a lot of different places in the art world: auction houses, art galleries, museum sector, heritage sector. Quite a few go on to do a PhD either here in the UK or elsewhere. One of our former students is heritage protection researcher for the Scottish government. There have been quite a few who've been working longer or shorter periods at the local auction house, McTears. And what else, Krista?
Yes, I have a long list of jobs that our students secured, ranging from object research and writing associates in the Pace Gallery to collection engagement managers at Art UK to the director of programs at the Antiquities Coalition in the US. And there are other examples, for instance, registrar at Sotheby's, which is an interesting one, and curator of collections and programs in Hawaii. So you can see we also have a person now, lead conservation information analyst at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So it sounds like our students manage to find themselves very exciting careers when they move on from the program.
That does indeed sound like it. Now we could come to Juliet and talk about Glasgow. So Martin is asking why you chose Glasgow, and has it lived up to your expectations, and is it different from what you expected? So quite a questions
Yeah.
to put. Yeah.
I think, well, so towards the end of my undergrad, I was doing my undergrad degree in art history. And so it was quite broad for a while, but towards the end, I kind of found myself involved in like a lot of repatriation conversations and a lot of conversations in classes surrounding art crime and provenance and cultural heritage. And so I ended up finding a passion for that. And so when looking for programs, obviously I stumbled upon University of Glasgow's program, and just the title itself is already like, it pulls you in. You're like, immediately, that's exactly what, at least for me, what I was thinking of. And reading the program online, it was just, it seemed to encompass everything I wanted. Obviously, it's pretty unique. There's not a lot of programs to compare it to, and I personally applied to quite a few master's programs, so I was looking at quite a bit. But just looking at this one, I just felt like it was everything I wanted. It talks about, obviously, we know it covers provenance research, object biographies, cultural heritage conversations, just pretty much everything I wanted to be involved in. And not only that, I think the Glasgow city is very involved in kind of repatriation conversations, and just kind of the place to be. Obviously, when I talked to Krista and Minna before I eventually committed to coming here, it just felt right. You guys are so involved in the field, and everyone who's involved in the program is very involved. It's a great place for connections and all that. So I would say it has lived up to my expectations. I'm not complete yet, but so far, which I was surprised to say, is that I feel like the program is exactly what it says online. You do get pretty much everything they list, and you really cover like all topics. You obviously like I learned so much new stuff, and I can't, my expectations were quite broad because you can't really know what you're coming into. But I think, and I don't think it's different than I expected, because I think I was just really excited about learning just these kind of broad topics, and I feel like I've done so really well, and gotten involved a lot in these kind of fields. So I think it's exactly what I was hoping for. Personally, I don't know if that's a very personal kind of experience, but I think it was great. I think it's really great, and my dissertation is going really well. So it was awesome.
Could you also tell us something about practical side? Any tips about moving to Glasgow, or the Glasgow itself? How you find it as a sort of place, the arts and cultural scene?
Yeah. Well, so I'm from California in the U.S. And I did my undergrad in Arizona in the U.S. So I'm very used to a different climate to start. I'm very used to warm, so that was a little different. But I personally was really looking for somewhere kind of cold and kind of, I just wanted somewhere different than where I'd been, and somewhere with a lot of like cultural history and like connection to, old museums, old art, all that kind of stuff. And so I think living in Glasgow has been really great. I didn't realize just how much like accessibility there is. There's a lot of museums, obviously, as we've kind of talked about, but they're really close too. Like I live about 5-minute walk from the Kelvin Grove Museum, so I'm there a little too often probably, but quite often. You can take the subway to City Center and go to the Modern Art Museum. There's just a lot going on in Glasgow that I think you're kind of near. It's a very thriving scene. You're near everything that's going on. There's the Hunterian Museum on campus, and they're like really involved in repatriation conversations right now. So I think living in Glasgow has been really great in terms of like being put right into the scene of things, especially for these kind of topics. Just living here has been really nice. I just think it's a city with a lot to do, a lot of nice people, and I've made quite a few friends through my program, so it's been really nice.
Yeah, and I think what you hit one point that's quite important there about uh, being able to pop in a museum all the time. That is possible because in the UK, museums mostly are free. They're permanent collections. Special exhibitions might cost, but permanent collections are free. So you can just pop in to look at one artwork or just one gallery. You don't have to kind of exhaust yourself and kind of think about that. I bought the ticket, now I have to look at everything. So the museums become kind of a second home. So you tend to spend quite a lot of time there. Is there anything that you wish you would have known before moving to Glasgow? Anything sort of surprising in that way?
I mean, I think definitely I think it obviously depends on where you're coming from and kind of your background. But I think for myself, Glasgow as a city is it's incredible. You'll be walking a lot. So I think in terms of packing, when you're moving here, definitely bring comfortable shoes. And just like, I don't know, just be prepared don't have too much expectation, because I think it's different than you can imagine. I think people, when they think of Glasgow, there's not a whole lot of conversation around Glasgow. I think people talk about Edinburgh a lot, but Glasgow has so much to offer. So I think just coming here with an open mind is like the best thing I did for sure.
Yeah, well, Edinburgh's closeness is also a good thing because there's a lot of going on there as well. So these are almost like twin cities. I mean, the distance between the two is so short that you kind of feel that you have these two cities. Plus, then the rest of Scotland, if you are interested and want to work in the art field, you might be proactive and, for example, find internships in many other places. National Trust for Scotland, which takes care of country houses and other scenic sites in Scotland, is a very active forum and a very interesting one to collaborate with and worthwhile to check. We could move now. We have a few questions. There is a question. Person curious about if graduates find that their experience were wide-ranging enough to get employment easily, or if the reverse is true, and especially wondering how the employment prospects compare to other general museum and heritage studies programs.
Yes, I can say something about that
Okay, good.
if you like. I have examples here of students who managed to find employment very, very easily as media managers. One is a media manager for the Scottish Government, which shows you how transferable the skills are that she managed to gain on the course to work as a media manager for government. And another good example is as events and engagement coordinators for universities. So at least two of our former students work at universities in that capacity in the colleges of arts and humanities. Quite interesting. I would say that our students probably gain a lot from the work placement and internship experiences, and that really prepares them very well then in order to put themselves forward for real life jobs where they can showcase and use and hone all of the skills that they gained on the program. I see there's also a question about specifically employment opportunities in repatriation. And yes, we've had preparations on work placements on repatriation, very specifically with the Smithsonian, who used to have a provenance research unit. And the Museum of the American Indian is still dedicated to repatriation under the legislative framework of the United States for repatriations. And then obviously we are in touch with institutions such as the Institute of Art and Law in London. They publish a journal that frequently features contributions on restitution and repatriation. And we're always looking for conversation partners on this topic. The Antarian is very, very involved, and they have very far-reaching public engagement, not only in Scotland and the UK, but further afield. Very active in this regard is the curator at the University Museum of Aberdeen University, for instance, and he's a close collaborator on many of the conversations on restitution and repatriation.
I would also say that our program gives, well, for example, compared to museum studies, which is more focused in many ways just what museums do and what they are in as institutions. We provide a broader range of topics and broader views into the art world. So that's why a lot of our students go into different directions. It is a good it's a good program for someone who is proactive, has lots of ideas, and sort of can use this program to kind of fashion themselves their own kind of agenda and own portfolio for future use. So there is a kind of flexibility that fits very well to certain types of people who are sort of able to transfer the skills that they get on this program into what they want to do. I hope these answer the questions. Now, I feel that we have given a quite a broad view of the program. Can you, Juliet, think of anything that you would like to add from the students' point of view?
Yeah, I think, and kind of going off of what we've been discussing, I think this program, especially, and something I wasn't expecting, was the amount of kind of connections you can make. I know in quite a few of my classes last semester, as well as some this semester, we've gotten people to come in who are involved in the field and speak to us on what their kind of role is and what their kind of work has been. And I think this also is really helpful, kind of knowing who these people are and being able to reach out to them. So I think that's been something for me as a student that's been really effective. I know for myself, especially being in Scotland, especially in Glasgow, there's a lot of people involved in these kind of fields. And it's very easy to just email someone and ask about their experience and kind of get their perspective. And so I found that super helpful as I've been here. I think that's one of the biggest things I would say has been kind of like outdid my expectation when I came here.
I think that relates to kind of what I said, that museums are accessible, they are free, you can just pop in them, but also the staff in the museums in the UK mostly are used to working with academia, with students, so there is a close connection. I, as a teacher, value this really a lot, that it is easy to connect with the professionals in the field, and they are happy to talk to people and hear their views. One of the examples I could mention, a concrete one, is that the Hunterian Art Gallery, they were rethinking their permanent collection, and their curator Lola Sanchez Joreque came to over the years. She came every year as the process was going on. She would, talk about the state of where they were, the plans and everything. So every year the students were given the latest information. And this year, Juliet's cohort, they were finally we could send them to look at the galleries first, and then have a special session with Lola to talk about how they felt about the new hang and the choices that the curators make. So that is one of the kind of, from the teacher's point of view and also from the student's point of view, you get these conversations with professionals and what they do in practice, which is really rewarding for everybody. Do you have, Krista, something in mind that you would like to kind of add to what we've been discussing?
I can just reassure students that the staff are very dedicated to supporting the students. They go the extra mile, and they normally do a whole lot of supportive work to get original and autonomous research skills going and flowing. And we like to be involved with the research projects of our students very much. And we're excited always to see the outcomes being prepared. So yes, I think staff are very interested in the program, and they're very enthusiastic to support the students.
So the academic year starts with inductions, the induction week. Just trying to think from my head, Monday, 9th of September, if I count correctly, is the start of the induction week, when you will be hearing about the school, hearing about the whole subject and what the subject overall can offer, and also about the program specific matters. And that's when you can also discuss with Krista and others who are teaching on the program, Alan and the new teacher about the choices that you want to make. They can help you together with our administrator, Tony McKay, for you to think about your optional courses and which to choose. So you are not on your own, even though I said that you will have to be proactive and contact if you are looking for a course beyond history of art, that you have to contact people, but you'll get support from us, who to contact and what to kind of consider, because you will need even if you do the exhibition catalog dissertation and you have 4 core courses, you will need 2 optional courses, one in semester 1 and one in semester 2. In semester 1, a difficulty might be that a lot of courses in different programs are in semester 1 core courses, so they are very often limited to availability, how many students they can take, but usually there are still a lot of courses to choose from. So if there are no more questions, I think that is from us and my colleagues. So I won't be here anymore, but Krista and the other teachers on the program will be looking forward to seeing you in September, and I just wish you all good luck. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Minna. And any final questions, we will be happy to answer now. And if not, we really look forward to welcoming you in Glasgow in the not too distant future.